Hi, everybody.
Hey, how's it going? If you were here for the pre-show, thank you. But some things you may have missed. There's not going to be a PowerShell webcast this coming Tuesday.
Yep.
So, but it looks like most of the office is going to be out with planned flu or something. I don't know.
Something like that.
It's just the perfect storm. There's conventions and yeah.
We pre-plan our sicknesses here.
That's right.
Staggered.
So anyway, keep that in mind. And as Katie always says, XP in 2003 are still not supported.
Nope. Sorry, it's still not supported.
That's right. And then we're also gonna, talk about the Tech Tuesday, which is the third Tuesday of every month. Yeah. So just keep that in mind. It's going to be tech, whether it's not necessarily PowerShell, not necessarily PDQ. We'll touch on some of those perhaps, but it's just going to be different tech. So
expand all the things.
Yeah, absolutely. But today, welcome. We're talking about the new PDQ Inventory 14. Answer your questions. We kind of call this one. We've been calling it the usability release because almost everything was based off of usability testing and your feedback of, hey, why is it this way?
This is weird. Why?
We were all just smoking copious amounts of J's at that point when we were like, oh, I don't know why.
Also whiskey. Also whiskey. Don't smoke whiskey. It's weird.
Lord knows I tried. Okay. So we're going to go ahead. Just so you know, some of these computers, it's going to look a little different. You're going to notice we've added the allow scan column here. I moved that there because in different demonstrations we show that there are some computers that you just may not want to scan.
Yeah.
And so that is a feature that was introduced a long time ago. If you don't want to scan a computer, there's the allow scan option from your context menu. You can just uncheck that and then this is a way for you to have a computer that you may not want to scan.
Right.
Or it's a Linux computer or something that...
Anything. IP phone, printer, whatever.
Mm-hmm. And now that we no longer support, XP, which we'll talk about here, you might want to throw an XP computer in there just so you know it's there, but it's not going to be able to be scanned.
To remind you and to have you cry a little bit on the inside.
Yeah.
So, yay.
Anyway, let's go ahead and kick this off. So once again, Chris, how do we find out what's new?
There's this wonderful thing we have, Help, User Guide. There's two ways to get to it. There's the Help menu, User Guide, and there's also on the Welcome page here, the What's New in this version link. That goes directly to that
There's
page.
always F1.
Yeah.
Yeah, F1 is context. So you can, if you're in a collection and you hit F1, it will take you to the collection part.
Yeah.
But once again, always just go to Update Notes once you're in our in the updates. And I gotta tell you, this is not being biased. I can remove observation bias to a degree. Having been in this industry for a long time, we take a lot of care with our documentation. We try to make it comprehensive, and by we, I mean Emily and Brig. So thanks you guys for this. So we'll look at version 14, release 1. So
look at all the things.
Yeah. You want to show the central server?
Sure.
Do you want to switch places?
Okay,
let's do it.
So one of the biggest things that we have made available is for those of you who are sharing consoles between different computers. Say you're Joe Schmo, you have your machine over here and you go over to this other machine over here and you want to have the exact same look and feel that you did on the other machine. We can do that now. We actually save the position, as it says here, the order and appearance of the tree and data grids. So if you organize something one way, another user who's logged on won't see it, but you will have it on your computer and any other computer that you log into.
You're talking about the console. So
Correct.
The concern was Chris and I both connect to a central server, and he moves some of the collections around, and I don't like that, and I move them back, and we're just fighting back and forth. Now all those settings are set per console user. Yes. That does mean that console user from one machine to the same console user on another machine are going to have the same look and feel.
Yep.
It's not per console, it's per console user.
No, it's not. And so I just want to showcase this because right now I am logged on as Trixie. Trixie on two different VMs, on Simple Rick and Pickle Rick, I believe.
Deadwood characters meet Rick and Morty.
Oh, perfect. So in this case, say I am just super hating of all the columns and I want to get rid of almost all of them, and I decide, no, I just want name because that's all I care about. When I do this, the settings get saved for this database for my username, for this console user, when I close. So in this case, if I close here, I'm going to move to a different VM now, Pickle Rick, who is also logged in as Trixie, but I'm going to verify this because I am kind of paranoid and watch it be someone else. So, also Trixie, good. So, in this case, you can still see that I have the columns available, or that I will have them available here in a sec.
As it loads that page for the first time.
Oh, no, it's fast. Oh, good. Once I close it, it saved it. This is actually different than what I actually saw when I was practicing this, but it's also because I also started with it closed, so I assume that. Bad. Don't assume things. So, look at that. I can log on to this
The
other
point
machine.
is, in the previous session, you had to close it because that effectively saves it. Okay.
Yes, and so now that we have this, you can actually go to and from computers with your same user and have the exact same location of different items here in the tree. So if I wanted the collection library at the very top, I could do that and have that at the very top for everything that I log onto as me.
As opposed to the way it was before, we were stepping on
Yes.
on other users.
So that's one of the biggest features that we have, so that we can, at least to me, because if you're sharing an environment with multiple people like we do here, we don't want to step on each other's toes because people like me who like to rearrange things in weird ways tend to upset other people. So
You've upset me.
I'm very dissatisfied with your performance. Yeah, so it's a good thing.
I love that. I love that in debate. You know, people get so. You were in debate.
Yes, I was.
Yeah, people get so upset with, you know, I was offended. You offended me. And one of the great orators of our time, Hitchens, said, when I hear someone say in an argument or debate, "Well, you offended me," he said, my response is always, "I'm still waiting for your point."
Who cares?
So we've offended you by moving your icons around, but in this case, we did hear your point, and we've made that. So once again, this is like we call this a usability release.
Yeah.
Please throw your suggestions out there. Yes, some suggestions we're not going to fulfill. Some suggestions are great. Some really suck. It's just. There comes a point where we look at something and go, "Oh wow, I can't believe we did it that way," or "This makes perfect sense." That's where usability testing comes in. Sometimes we're so close to the product we don't, we need to step back and go, "Oh, we could make this a little better."
Yeah, we forget what it's like to be in your shoes.
Yep.
So
Another one, the concurrent sessions.
yes.
You want to go ahead since you're in the driver's seat? I'll let you do that.
This was in Deploy 14, so it made sense to have this here. So those of you who are using Deploy 14, you're very familiar with this. So in the console user section, we have active sessions. You can see multiple active sessions. So
and with the active sessions, you can see. Notice the type there.
Yep.
Go ahead and circle that if you want. The type options are going to be console, CLI, or console and CLI.
Yes.
And this is just this. We have people saying, "I want to know who's connected right now. I'm not sure." Well, here we are.
So if I did something like PDQ inventory, help, what are the commands? I'm just kind of on my soapbox for using command line because I love it. Oh, I want to know the settings. Oh, there they are. Cool. I'm going to exit. Now, look, it says console and CLI.
All right.
Beautiful.
And if there's only a CLI session, then you'll see that. And a CLI does take up the sessions.
Yes. So,
Although console and CLI take up one.
yep.
Notice the and. All right, we have a question.
Oh, good.
Rock on.
Dear Sirs, for the new version of PDQ Inventory, the release notes stated that the .NET Framework 4.5.2 is now required for all consoles and all computers. Does it have to be 4.5.2 or can I install 4.7? Thank you, Jeffrey O.
Yes, you may. Sorry.
That's a good point. We should probably clarify
Yeah,
that.
it's 4.5.2 or higher. Yeah. You used to not be able to really do that because they made this massive change on .NET 3.5 to 4. You couldn't just say a 3.5 or higher because it was possible for you to have 4.0 without 3.5. And if the application meant 3.5, it needed 3.5. But no, in 4.5.2, if you have 4.6, 4.6.1, 4.6.2, 4.7, those will all work. We just need a minimum of 4.5.2.
Yep.
But by doing that, folks, that gives us some access to some really nifty features, some of them forthcoming, that we've laid the groundwork for.
And I do want to call out, though, like if you do have a machine that does not have the minimum required version of .NET, you can push that out with inventory.
Yes.
That's a big, awesome thing that we have here. In this case, Jerry doesn't, and I can actually define where that is in the preferences.
At the very top, you've probably seen this. Talk about set it and forget it. Some of you said this years ago when you got PDQ inventory. You downloaded .NET. That would download .NET 4. Now this is downloading .NET 4.5.2.
There it is. Yep.
All right.
So then I can actually push that out to poor Jerry, who doesn't have the required version of .NET.
So if you do want, I mean, this was going to do 4.5.2. Really, if you want to just deploy 4.7, if it's okay in your environment, you've vetted it, it works for you. Use PDQ deploy.
Yep.
Grab 4.5 or go grab 4.7 from the package library and push that out. Just keep in mind 4.7 will not work on Vista, 2008, and actually the very first versions of it won't work. 4.7 won't work on the very first version of .NET, or am I thinking of PowerShell 5.1?
I'm not sure the actual.
Actually, I think the very first version of Windows 10, the 1507. I don't think you can get. I don't think you can get.
No, they actually they don't allow you to do that. They basically force you to upgrade to get that because the first one shipped with 4.6, the initial release, and the next one is 4.61, and then 4.62 was with 1607, I believe, and Server 2016. But anyway, you do your research, find out, get it. That's
Let's
really what
see.
comes
Let's
down
go to the package library and see if we actually did, in fact. You type in .NET. Let's go to 4.7. Yep, there it is. Notice those little details. Yeah. If you're going to use 4.7, the only operating systems that will work on are Windows 7, 2008 R2, 8.1, not 8 of Windows, and then Windows 10, 1607
Yes.
or higher.
So not prior to that. So
There you go. So 1511 versus build 1511 and build 1507 won't work. But anyway, if you want, and you can also go out and grab 4.6, like 4.6.1.
Yeah.
If you scroll down here, you'll see. There's a couple of different. There's 4.6.2, 4.6. You can import those if you have an enterprise license and deploy those as well. So
all the possibilities are available.
we should remove 4.5 since 4.5 has officially been deprecated
That's
by
a good point.
Microsoft.
Yeah.
Lisa, if you're watching, make a note.
Cool.
Do we have another question?
Yeah.
What is the recommended upper limit on the quantity of computers in inventory? We have approximately 16,000 Windows PCs. Normally we split this up. We split up this total amongst several techs and consoles, but with Central Server, it seems like we're moving toward putting this all on one console. What are your recommendations for handling this amount of computers? Thank you, Jason D.
All right, you mind if I take this one? All right. Number one, we've got several customers that I've worked with that have that many and sometimes more in one console. Yes, you do have to really kind of beef that console up. If you're in your situation, if your individual techs can each break those up in different consoles and that works for you, that's perfect. And this is kind of what it was designed for. You know, these techs are autonomous. I've got this department or I've got this building or something like that, and ne'er the twain shall meet. That's perfect. But if you do want them all centralized, the biggest bang for your buck when it comes to inventory and having a lot of computers, it's not just memory. Memory's big, but honestly, the biggest bang for your buck is the disk speed. Inventory is disk I/O is out of this world. We're talking about a lot of reading and writing to the database. So if you can get an SSD disk, that's fantastic to where the database exists. If you can't, the fastest disk possible. You want to minimize the bottleneck. We've seen people just deck out with processors and memory, but they've got some older regular disks, and it's just that's where the bottleneck is.
Yeah.
So the faster the disks, really the better it's going to be. I was able to see the Jenny Craig before after with a customer on the phone. He's like, okay, you know, it took a minute to open up inventory because we have all of our computers. I think they had like 13,000, maybe a minute and a half. And we've just now moved the database over, SSD drive, configured it, opened it up, and it opened up in like 4 seconds.
Good.
You know, so
just remember that your total concurrent scans too. If you're dealing with that many computers and you have a scan age set like we do default for the standard scan profile, you're going to be constantly scanning unless you do some adjustments.
Correct.
So
one of the biggest adjustments I would recommend. So here's in the performance on preference. You know, your concurrent scans. That's what he's talking about. I have seen people set this so high. Try not to do that. You know, don't try to. If you have 16,000, don't try to get all of them at once. Try to take this off in chunks. All right. Yeah, 32. If you have a fast disk, fast processor, a lot of memory, you can definitely go higher than 32. But I generally I would generally say stop around 128 if you have a decked out system. That does mean your scans might take a little longer to come in, but you're going to see the improvement. Also, go into scanning.
Yep.
The ping before scanning is a big one. That's because a lot of you have computers that are not online at any one time. And when you don't have this ping before scanning, will you circle that? When you don't have that set, and you say scan my computers, this is going to attempt to hit every computer that you've specified. And if it's offline, it still attempts to make a connection to it. And the standard Windows timeout is about a minute. So it could take about a minute for that to time out and come back saying it's offline. That's a minute that one of those concurrent connections is not going somewhere else.
Yep.
The ping before sends out a ping to every target. It has 2 seconds to return. If it returns, then it kicks it off. If it doesn't return, it doesn't waste that connection.
Yep.
This is actually a good point. I want you to go really quick. I'm going to segue from here,
Okay.
but I'm going to tease it a little bit. I want you to go back to preferences.
Okay.
I want you to go to network. If you have 16,000 computers, you do not want we have this set to the lowest interval, which is 120 seconds. Your heartbeat, the default is 300 seconds. That's 5 minutes. With 16,000 computers, you're going to want to increase that.
Yeah.
Basically, what you want to do is you want to be able to send these pings out to all of your targets and have them all return within whatever increment you set here. So for 16,000 computers, you're probably going to be wanting to jump up to 900 or 1,200 seconds. But that's where you got to taste it. It's just like with your coffee or your tea. How much sugar do you want? It's a learning process. Find out what works. But I'll tell you right now, for 16,000, the default 300,
Too little.
it's not going to have time to hit all those before it starts that cycle again.
Yeah, constant loop. It's bad.
But this comes down to a great segue on another feature that we've added in PDQ Inventory 14, and that is the scanning collections in schedules.
Okay, let's
so
pull it back up again.
we have scan profiles. For those of you who don't know, learn. Scan profiles are collections of scanners. Show us. So the default is called standard. Let's open that up. When I say default, out of the box, standard is there, and we mark it as what's known as the default scan profile. A scan profile is a container of scanners. Notice all of these different scanners. We have them broken up rather logically, not alphabetically as far as what it scans for.
Sure.
They're listed alphabetically, but we have them broken up logically. Active Directory, and this scanner will scan for applications. This one will scan for disks. You do not need to always scan using this standard scan profile. A lot of this data doesn't change on a day-by-day basis.
How often does your memory or your disks change for a given target? Not
Correct.
very often.
So we recommend that you use this prudently. Now, out of the box, this is set on a trigger to have the trigger is when a computer hasn't had this scan profile run in 7 days, kick it off. All right, but let's say that you want to schedule. We have applications. Notice when we double click on this and look in the details for the application scan profile, there's only 3 scanners. Right. Applications, obviously, computer details, which we always recommend you throw in there, and hot fixes. You can always add or remove scanners, but use the application scan profile. Yes. But guess what? It used to be that when you would schedule your triggers, it would scan against all computers when that trigger was kicked off, right?
Yes, and no more. We have this cool feature.
Show us.
So you might notice this new tab that you see here called Collections. You can define what that's linked to for those triggers. So in this case, say I only wanted to link to, let's pick all the machines that are on deep freeze for some reason.
I have a better one. That's good. I was going to say, link to workstations.
Okay, workstations. You don't want to do your server. See, he actually has real world things. I'm just picking random ones. Weird.
Deep freeze was capitalized. Look at the uppercase. That means I must choose this one.
Fly to the zapper.
Yeah, so, applications change on your workstations a lot more often. Maybe you want this one kicked off. And here's the thing. These linking to collections are going to answer a question before it's asked. When you link to these are the only targets when it's kicked off from a schedule.
Yes.
In other words, these triggers.
Yeah.
You can still scan computers that are not in these collections.
Absolutely.
Manually with this scan profile.
So if I make this change, hit OK, close out of here, even though these guys may or may not be a member of, let's just do all computers, they may or may not be a member of workstations or deep freeze. If I come here and say scan collection applications, it's still going to scan that entire collection.
It's just when the trigger kicks off, you
Yes.
know. And that's been a feature request actually for some time of, hey, listen, I want to schedule scans, but I just don't want to hit all my servers. I don't need to hit my servers.
Nope.
Or I don't need to hit my engineering department, you know.
It's easy to remove them too, so
Yeah.
there it is.
But want to call out once again to head off the inevitable question. Those collections are only there for the triggers, not for the manual kickoff.
Yep, it's true.
Let's go back to unless we have a question. Let's go back to the help file behind the window there.
You want to take a question?
We'll take a question.
Okay.
Per se, 2 admins are licensed in deploy, one of those in inventory. The only one in deploy is denied using targets in the collection library or other collections I have set up. Is this as intended? Sincerely, Jason A.
Hey, Jason. I'm trying to make sure I understand. JJ, do you want to opine on that one? I'm trying to follow that one.
I might think what I think I know what he's saying.
Go ahead.
He has 2 licenses for deploy and 1 license for inventory. And the person who only has the license for deploy doesn't have it for inventory, but he's trying to use inventory.
Yeah. Okay, I see what you're saying. Sorry, Jason. Yeah, that is intended. It's, you know, when you're utilizing inventory. Remember, we don't at this point we've really held off licensing our product per seat.
Yeah.
We like that. For the most part, the feedback has been overwhelmingly thank you and positive for licensing per admin. You know, I don't have to come up with every time I see, okay, how many seats do you have? I'm like, okay, now we're going to go in the negotiation phase. No, it's just how many admins. Oh, we have 2 admins. Okay, so you need 2 versions of the product, or 2 licenses of the product.
If you have 2 admins using deploy and 2 admins using inventory, but you only have 1 license, you need 2 licenses for inventory.
You'll have a problem.
Simple as that.
Yeah. And there are legitimate use cases where, you know, one person is I am only the one that deploys, and others might only be inventory.
Yep,
In that case, you just won't be able to utilize if you don't have a license for the other one.
Yes.
But there are times where that would work. It's just if you really truly segment.
Okay. So I'm going to move on to this next feature because it is my favorite in this entire release.
Really?
Yes. Lapse. So we have Brig over here clapping. He probably agrees with me on this one.
Hey, Brig.
I do indeed.
Brig,
Excellent.
Brig, because I'm getting so tired of Chris's voice, and you are audible chocolate. Please tell us why Lapse. Hey, really quick, what Lapse is for those who missed that webcast, and why is it important?
Lapse is probably about the best thing ever, simply because you can have a local administrative password that changes based on the actual computer, it's like each individual computer, and then we can use that to scan and we can use that to deploy without ever needing to know the password. So it's super secure. It changes on a regular basis. You can set that through group policy. It's easy to set up. It's very easy to set up. Super
Do
easy.
you guys remember The Simpsons where Mr. Burns and Mr. Smithers had to go down to the super secret vault, and they went into all these doors that had retina scans and fingerprint scans and actual facial scans, and all these vaults opened up and it took them down this elevator, and then they got into the server room and there was a crickety old screen door with a stray dog in there, and Mr. Burns had to kick the dog out the screen door and slam it shut. And that's those local passwords. Those have long been the weak link. You've got super secure, but that password is set once and often never again, and it slowly leaks out, and people are like, hey, if you want to install something, here's the administrator password.
On every machine, mind you, because they usually keep it admin or local admin across their domain. So
if you have domains, this is a way for you to not only, even if you don't use it with PDQ inventory deploy, it's a good security practice.
Yes.
But we do have customers that are saying, we would like to move to Lapse, and we need to have inventory and deploy utilize Lapse for authentication. We want to use that Lapse password to deploy. Well, there's a way to do that without you really knowing what it is.
Yes, and so we actually went extensively about this, Brig and myself. We did this in a previous webcast, so please watch that for more details. I don't want to go into it too much today because I can get sidetracked.
Okay.
So.
Let's throw another question down.
Yeah.
Thank you for giving the option to set our own preferences. However, what if I'm the lead admin and I want to set the icons and layout specifically for the entire admin team? Is there a way to set things for all console users? Sincerely, Kevin.
Hi. No. Now there used to be. We fixed that.
We did a Google
they're
Translate on your name, by the way. We got it right.
Yeah, there is a. I mean, like you could handle this in like in the Windows world. You could handle this in like group policy. You know, I mean, you have these system settings, but then everyone's kind of allowed to have their windows look the way they want, unless you really force that. Yeah. We don't have a way to force that. Overwhelmingly, people who are using Central Server were saying, "Please help us maintain our own look and feel." And so we did that, but no, there's not a way to force that as a master plan. If there's a lot of people that would like that, I'd be interested to hear if you would like that.
Is this the theme-based question, or is this
just for the icons? I think of the.
No, this is the icons, the columns that you're displaying.
Right.
So,
yeah.
We have. I think we have some more questions. I mean, we can keep on going, but we're starting to get down. Really quick, show them the computer window.
Yes, there's a couple few things I do want to get to.
Yeah, we don't want to miss these. This is really important. So go to one that allows a scan.
Let's do one of these guys. Actually, we're going to Windows Tech. We're going to go to Evil Rick.
Evil Rick. Simple Rick. Pickle Rick.
You're just reading computers now.
All right, so in the computer window, we've added a couple of new pages. Number one, you've got your collections. Some of you saw this in a previous webcast because we were using the beta of inventory. Mm-hmm. This is a question we've had. People say, I can go to collections and see all the computers in that collection, but I want to see which collections a computer is a member of. Yep. Now, heretofore, we've always said, well, here you can run a report to show that. But now we've just added that here. So you can see in this computer, Evil Rick, these are all the collections that Evil Rick is a member of which he is a member. Now let's answer questions before they're asked.
Okay.
Really quickly, show us the basic filter and then the advanced find.
Yes. So I want all the 7-zip ones. That's cool. I'm a member of these 2 cool ones. Awesome. Well, what if I want to do multiple? I also want to know if he's a member of Chrome. Oh, can't do that.
That because this filter is looking for 7-zip space Chrome anywhere in one field. To do highlight any row, select Control F, push Control F.
That's what I did. Control F.
And then now you've got sort of the Google type logic that you can throw in there, where a space is interpreted as an OR.
Yeah.
So 7-zip space Chrome shows up any record that has 7-zip or Chrome.
It's fantastic.
Can we show all the not installed?
Yes. Oh, this is a great one because let's say that you have all these collections. You use the collection library. Notice we've got some. Actually, let's do old. We have, if a computer is in a collection that has old, like 7-zip old, that means it's got an old version of 7-zip. So just search for old.
Old.
And we can tell that this computer is got some, it's in the member of Windows 10 older version for 64-bit, 1703 cumulative update. It doesn't have that cumulative update. Yep. All right. Go ahead and show not installed like he said, because not installed has a space. And a space is going to require, thank you, JJ. Okay. I think this is where JJ was going.
Well, where I was going was not installed.
So, okay, well, remember, this is
or.
So
we'll do. Know.
Yes. This is not or installed. If you're looking for not installed, so this would work because it's in there. But if you want just that, you encapsulate it in quotes. Yep.
Womp womp.
What if I don't? Oh, no.
If you want to not show something, then you need to have a space preceding a negative sign. So go back over there and show Adobe, but then do a space after Adobe and say minus Acrobat. I don't want to see Acrobat. So you'll still see Adobe, but it will remove Acrobat. Now you can do also a plus, which means an and. If the plus is preceded by a space, that turns that space into an and. So go to Adobe plus error. No, there's got to be a space.
Oh, I thought I put a space.
No. And then that will do that. So Control F. And also, there's a CPU page. This is based off of overwhelming response. Please show us more comprehensive information about our processors. And obviously, if you're having a VM, there's going to be some blanks in there. But
there's so many more features.
No, please hurry.
Okay, so this is going to be super high speed, fast stuff. 3 things. Oh my gosh. So one of the things we talked about in one of the last webcasts is filtering the Active Directory browse by name. Guess what? You can now. So
But
if
we
change domain to actual domain, we can see.
there we go.
You can actually see all the machines and filter. So I can go look for all the RICs and see all the RICs.
Uh-huh.
So you can add them and do it. You will.
I know we have a lot of questions out there. Is there any other question that we can throw
Yeah.
out?
Let's take one more.
Good.
We'll wrap this
I don't mind if we go longer, guys. I don't.
Okay.
So throw down.
All right.
Is there a way to turn off central server option with PDQ 14, or is it required to be able to use the latest version of PDQ? Sincerely, thanks, guys. Timothy D.
Central server is optional. It absolutely is. We're running central server right now. Hey, let's say you don't want to have central server. You want to move this back into the local mode. How do you do that?
You click on Options, Central Server, and go switch to local mode.
You switch to local mode, and it's going to go back to actually the default,
Yes.
the way it, it's always been, and the way we're always going to have this option. That's our plan.
Yep.
We've stated this, Timothy, and so I apologize if we haven't been clear enough. Central server is not required. We are going to be offering an optional agent. A lot of people like the fact that we don't have an agent. Guess what? That's going to be optional as well.
Yep.
We're not forcing this on you. There are certain features that are only available in central server, and in that case, it would by necessity be required to fulfill your features. But it is optional. Brig, do you want to have any? Have you had that question before in support?
No, we haven't actually had that question before. But I mean, like it can be a little bit confusing about central server and local mode and things like that, but not that specific question.
All right.
Yep.
All right. Let's do another question, JJ. I heard we got some.
With centralized server, can we have, say, 6 people using the server database, but each user will still be able to have their own custom collections made? If so, will one person's collection show up on each other user? Sincerely, David T.
Yes. Now, if those of you, do you mind if I answer this one?
Sure, please.
Those of you who have gone to the latest version of Deploy and use Central Server, we have a folder for private packages. We did not have a corollary for that in inventory. And honestly, I don't think we've had that asked yet. I'm open to it. I would like to know what kind of response that would get. If it would be used. It makes a lot of sense to have a private package because you don't want you're working on something, you don't want someone to deploy something that's not being worked. As far as the collections, I haven't seen that need, but once again, I get sometimes too close to the product and I'm too drunk. Always.
First one, then the other.
All right. If there were questions that you asked that didn't get asked, trust me, we are going to compile them. We've been trying to get answer those out to you. But thank you very much for asking. And if something wasn't asked, by all means, hit up our support forums. Go out to the forums. Sign up for them.
Yes.
No webcast this next Tuesday for PowerShell. But that only means that Chris here is going to be rocking and rolling with some great material for the next one.
But we will be back next Thursday.
Yeah, next Thursday we're going to be talking DNS. What is that, Brig?
Domain name something.
I don't mean what does it mean. What are you going to talk about? If you don't know what it means, you're watching the wrong damn podcast.
The ever popular.
We're doing some advanced settings in DNS update proxy, and kind of doing some refinement and some good stuff.
Awesome stuff.
So DNS, one of the most overlooked, just taken for granted.
Yep.
This thing is just going to die a lonely, broken heart because it serves such a great purpose and no one gives a hell about it.
It's the last thing you look into. It's not DNS. Oh,
It is DNS.
It is
it was
DNS.
DNS.
And you don't give a damn, and then it dies of a lonely, sad death.
Yep.
So check us out next time, you guys. Thanks for watching. Rock on, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks for joining our webcast today, everybody. We want to say a big congratulations to a few people. Jason Duran, you won the coffee mug, the PDQ coffee mug. Good for you. Timothy Desario II, you won the whiskey tumbler. And David Tracy is the winner of our PDQ floppy coaster today. So everybody send us your info at webcast@pdq.com and we'll get those sent out to you. Thanks for hitting up our webcast. If you have any additional questions, don't hesitate to visit our support forums or our YouTube channel. We have a lot of videos with a lot of information in those. So thanks, everybody. We'll see you back here next Thursday.